I am the CEO for Destination Management, India and South Asia for Kuoni Destination Management based out of Delhi in India. In fact, Simon, I started out, my father being an army officer, he wanted me to be in a profession which was at that time doctors, engineers, chartered accountants. So I actually studied to be a chartered accountant, and then I realized this is not for me. And a friend of mine owned one of the largest companies, and he asked me to start his office in Jaipur. This was way back in 1989. And so I set up an office. I was all of 24, and I employed everybody who was younger than me. Because I thought at that time you think hierarchy, probably is age, And it was a lot of fun. I had four very enthusiastic young people straight out of college who joined me. And all of us had one, commonality between us. None of us knew what tourism was. So that was where it all started, and it was the first. I still remember on the 1st of August in 1989, we actually started operations of the office, and there was this young man who came along with me to the airport for our first airport transfer. And so we got into the bus, and both of us were sitting in the bus heading to the airport, and he looked at me and he said, boss, what's an airport transfer? I said, well, wait till we get to the airport and I'll explain to you. And, to be honest, he was one of the best guys who worked for me. It wasn't, but it was a lot of fun. We just started out as a few young people with a company that believed in us. And it was great fun, and no looking back since then. That's where, that's the space I've kept to. I've always been in destination management, never stepped out of it. And it's been a great journey. Well, there's an old saying: the harder you work, the luckier you get. So there were no shortcuts. I started with the airport transfers, running a small office, client servicing, and in about 2.5 years, I was asked to move to Bombay to the corporate office of the company, and I started looking after the international sales and marketing for them, and eventually, worked with them for about 7 to 8 years in Bombay. So it was a lot of fun. That's where you got all the exposure. You went overseas. You got into the sales part of the business. But there was a lot of learning, and it really was on the job. There was no university. There was no teachers. Well, your teachers were the people who worked around you. Yeah. And if you love what you're doing, you find your way through. I worked for this large DMC that I mentioned earlier, and then in '99 I set out with another 2 people to start a small DMC, which was specialized in the incentive space. We built that company up to a level in 2006 when Kuoni came and actually Kuoni came over and they wanted to acquire us, and we did go ahead with the deal. And Kuoni at that time also asked me if I would be interested to carry on within the space, and I was young. I said, well, why not? And that's how I got into running the entire piece, including the company that we sold. So I've been doing this since 2008.